get started.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
because it doesn't look like he's trying to remote in. Okay.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Park and Rec Commission, and we're gonna move things around so that you guys,
Is it not
Just
recorded?
reminding, I don't see it, the little recording thing. Oh, there it is. Never mind.
Oh, it's green, yeah.
There it is. Up there. I missed it.
Right there? Is that the?
Yeah, it says.
well, it does
Oh, there
say, it does say
is.
recording.
Just by the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hot tag.
Yeah.
So why don't we get started? Welcome to the Park and Rec Commission, and we're gonna move you folks up so that you can introduce yourselves, tell us a little about what you do, and then get on with your day. Okay, so why don't we go around the table?
My name is Elizabeth McDonald. I am one of the newest hires here. I'm program supervisor for special events here at Groton Park and Rec. So anything that you can think of that's bigger scale, bringing the community together, I'm pretty much in charge of those details. So Mystic Irish 5K, our fireworks celebration down on the Thames, our summertime concert series, Tour de Noack, and just really keeping the existing programming running, leveling up attendance, getting people excited about it. And then also I've been charged with adding some new things onto the docket. So look forward to a chalk art festival in August, a creativity festival. Yeah.
And you may have, well, Mystic Irish 5K, we went from 300. What?
Yeah.
350 to over 500 runners, right?
Yeah.
So. I
We
think
sold out
that-
of shirts this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's getting popular.
And then any of you that are following Parks and Rec on Instagram, you may have seen, we did a series of posts, and this, both Clayton and Elizabeth were working on, there was a series of posts with the high school track team, talking about warming up and stretching and things like that, and it's now shifted to Kelly's Pace
Mhm.
is doing Instagram posts on training, so we're trying to encourage people to go from couch to 5K kind of thing.
Right.
And Elizabeth and Clayton have been doing that. So those are the kinds of things
That's great.
that she's working on. And she's
Mhm.
also taking on the community garden up at the top of the hill at the old Noank School.
Yeah.
And those gardeners, they can be mean people.
No,
They're almost like pickleball players, but
Yeah.
not quite as bad.
Well, we'll get you now.
I use the pitchfork to be.
Pickleball court's finished.
Here's-
Hey, how are you? Good, how are you?
Here's one right
Yeah.
there. Oh, there's another one. We need one more there.
Oh, do it?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and also I do the sponsorships here to help fund our efforts as well. So making connections in the local community, whether it looks like partnerships, financial, and in-kind donations.
Great.
He'd sit in Ben's spot. Then he'll bring one in.
Do that.
Just move it this way, the chair.
Okay. Maybe.
I think he won't be on the TV.
Okay, that's good.
You
Thank
down
you,
there if
guys.
you want. Tom, did you introduce yourself?
My name is Don Bassi. I'm the facilitator for the Park and Rec Commission. Perhaps all of our members should introduce themselves as well. So, Mike, why don't you?
Sure, Mike DeFranco. I think I'm the vice chair now. I'm not sure, but one of the commission members here. The domestics.
Jim Steffes, just a commission member,
Soon to be secretary.
soon to be secretary. I don't know, you saw my notes I sent you? They're really good.
I know you purposely set the bar pretty low.
He would get volunteers.
But looking around the table, you know, that was actually pretty high.
Wait
Wait a minute.
No.
That's
I'm Elizabeth Hogan, a member of the commission.
Ben Morse, Manager of Recreation Services. Clayton Potter, I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for the department, so I do all of our social media, our websites, monitors around town. I work closely with Elizabeth, helping to promote different community events that are coming up that we've had in the past, and I'm trying to increase engagement, as well as new events. I work with Mark around different projects like master plans or department initiatives that require community engagement, connections, and input. And then I do a lot of work with our community wellness hub out of the community center that focuses on connecting with our nonprofit partners and service-oriented organizations around town and helping them, bring their services over to the community center and centralize their access to the community, and the community's access to them, as well as a secondary goal that is getting more people to the community center and helping them see Parks and Recreation as more than a department that just offers rec programs, but is thinking about the community's health and a sense of holistically.
Thanks.
Or is the, like all the Parks and Rec, I'll call it activities for kids, adults, all the programs, is that like your baby? Do you own that or is that a separate entity?
No, so that's under program. So
Okay.
our program team does that. I actually don't do much work in that regard.
Okay.
I'm Tom Olson. I'm with the Town of Groton Conservation Commission. My area's responsibility there for the open space definition, parcel maintenance, also coordination with ECCD, Eastern Connecticut Conservation District, and the BACWAC, the Baker Cove initiatives and stuff. I'm also on the Town of Groton Complete Streets Committee. I'm on your agenda here to talk.
Oh. I thought you just come to these meetings. I'm Eileen Chikasey. I'm a program supervisor, same as Elizabeth, and we have one more coming. So my responsibilities are many of the programs, gymnastics, karate, all the adaptive programs, summer camp, one of the gardens, aquatics.
Yep.
I inherited aquatics this year when Ben left. So yeah, so I already said special needs, so yeah,
And that's at Avery Point?
yes, it just finished on Saturday. But for the commissioners, if you know anybody looking for a part-time supervisor position in the pool, I ended up having to do it every Saturday, so I don't want to do that next year,
Right.
if possible.
Okay.
So if you know anybody who's like willing to get trained and just work Saturdays, running the program, and somebody who can lead.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
That's wintertime.
It's actually gonna be for 4 seasons, not in the summer.
So it'll be a full-time for 4 seasons, so to speak.
Yeah, it'll be about like 10 hours a week.
Thank you.
And the special rec program that Eileen started, how many years ago? I mean, it's,
35.
yeah,
Wow.
so,
Well, yeah, well, I didn't start it, actually. Parents started it.
oh, okay.
They hired me when they wanted somebody else to do it instead of the parents.
Yeah, and she's, for the last 35 years, done a phenomenal job. And I think, no, I don't think, I know that what we're doing here in Groton is recognized regionally. We are so far ahead of what a lot of other places are doing. And that's all on Eileen and her wonderful staff that she's put together.
And we actually do run the Special Olympics along with adaptive programs, and we have 13 sports a year and over 100 athletes competing year round. So, and about 50 coaches. So it's a big program. It's the biggest one probably in Connecticut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Eileen, you have the daytime as well as like the Friday nights as well?
I don't work, I have a supervisor at the Friday night program,
Okay.
but that's one of the programs under my purview.
I see.
The teen social.
Yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah. That's a great program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our program supervisors, pretty much everything in that book, they're overseeing something in there. But a lot of the bigger ones have an additional supervisor. So, I mean, one person can only be at so many things. So like our hockey league, we have somebody that's running it for the last 5 years. Volleyball, which is nights, we have a guy Keith been running that for probably 10+ years. So we don't have to, but they're ultimately in charge of all those things that are in that book.
And volleyball's a huge program. There's 112 teams
Yeah.
in the summer league, 112 teams.
Uh,
So volleyball down on the beaches, well, 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then weekends, people are just dropping into play. So
So is there anything that runs throughout the all year round in gymnasiums? Or is it just the summer league?
No, the volleyball
No.
is that
Yeah, we have indoor volleyball that
goes
runs out
almost
of
year
the
round.
middle school, which is more of a traditional
Nice.
kind of 6-on-6. But which helps it is there's that indoor facility for beach volleyball in town, so people get to play beach all year round.
Is that a private thing?
Yeah, the sandbox.
Right.
Oh, on
And they help-
184?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And we partner with them, they supply us with nets and equipment for the beach. And then they'll run like some tournaments down
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Um,
Mostly in the winter?
No, the tournaments at the beach are summer.
No, I mean the one on 184, is that mostly summer? Or winter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all year.
it's
Oh,
open
yeah.
Once it's,
around,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
it's open year round. I think they slow down in the summer, start running tournaments at different places. But yeah, all winter.
Yeah, I think we get hot in there in the summer.
Yeah.
I drove by last week and they had, and I'd never seen it before, but the end was wide open,
Oh,
which
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I think
Probably-
helps.
yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Beth Whipple. I'm the office assistant. I greet the people that come in, answer the phones, help people register for programs, answer their questions. I keep the computers updated with all the programs and pickleball.
And you're doing a great job, by the way.
And I provide administrative support for Paula Spicer House.
So
And
we
she
know
does a
she's
great
really in
job.
charge.
I was gonna say, she's the glue that kind of keeps, keeps us all together.
Well, I know we keep you busy with
Yes.
all the calls that you get, well, especially with the
Swipe
new-
cards.
with the swipe card, so.
Yeah.
Which is going well, by the way.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's going real good.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know if the commissioners have any more questions for the staff about what we're doing or.
Who's running the parade this year?
That's me. First parade, I'm very excited about it, looking forward to it. That's what it's all about, is that sense of placemaking, and that seems to be that staple for this community, that and fireworks.
Oh, yes, there's the
Yeah.
fireworks.
Yeah.
The last guy in charge of the parade lasted 1 year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, thinking about it in hindsight. Matt started July 3rd to get him on board for the parade, but then it was like already fireworks were 2 weeks later, concerts were 2 weeks later. He didn't have time to be nervous or think about planning anything. Everything was done, where poor Elizabeth hasn't seen any of the events, but now has to worry and spend time planning them all without.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that there's still another programmer to come on board.
Yes,
Yes.
Matt's replacement.
Yes, actually, we extended an offer to her yesterday and she returned the signed contract this morning.
Oh, excellent.
So she's
congratulations.
scheduled to start June 10th.
Oh,
Her name is Melissa Porter, and she's got a background in health and wellness. And I think she's gonna be a terrific addition to the department.
good.
Yeah, and then we're gonna throw her right into everything that we're doing.
That's the way to do it, sink
There
or
you go.
swim, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming and taking time out of your day to help us know who you are and associate a face to a name. So that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But we would love feedback from you guys whenever, you know?
Yeah. And actually, Eileen had a she had a suggestion. I thought it was a good one. To perhaps get the public to engage more with the commission members is maybe put like on our webpage, kind of a short bio and maybe a picture. So, but that's entirely up to the commission members on their comfort level. If they wanted to do something like that, but I thought it was a good suggestion.
But we've done it for instructors before, like a profile and
Yeah,
even if it's not all at once, but like sporadically through our Discover, meet so-and-so, you
Sure.
know?
yeah,
One of our commission members and your background and why you are a commissioner,
yeah,
because I think that stuff is really important
yeah,
for the public to know, like why you got involved in it in the first place. It's certainly not for the money,
Right.
Especially.
It would be a good way for people to ask questions of
Right.
us
Right.
as well.
yeah,
So that's
Yeah.
actually a very good idea.
yeah. And
And foster
Eileen was on
connection.
the Parks and Rec Commission in
Montville, my
Montville.
town,
Yeah.
for years, and,
Yeah.
they used to put us in the book every once in a while,
Mhm.
like, so that people knew who you were, and,
Yeah.
it definitely worked.
Yeah, yeah.
People wanted something, more pickleball courts
Right.
or more this, they would reach out to the commissioners.
Sure.
Because, that's, our commission was actually, rule, what's the difference? Well, ours was a governing commission, so like they made the rules.
Oh,
Right, so this is just
They
an
said
advisory
policy,
board.
but regardless, I
Right.
mean, it's, feedback from the public.
Sure.
Especially as there's a vacancy and we're looking to fill that.
Right.
Yeah, we could put a picture of a
A
silhouette.
blank
If you share what's your why, and then other people will,
Yeah.
be inspired or see a connection for
Yeah.
themselves.
So I think for the fall brochure, we may try to start that.
Sounds
If
good.
if the commission members are agreeable to,
Fine with me.
not to put you on the spot, but
But you did,
Okay.
and that's fine.
that was part of my plan.
Yeah. Well, because I kind of I'm a loudmouth around 5:55, so people are learning that if they have a question, they can go talk to Hogan. Yeah, and so I think it makes a lot of sense if people know who you are, they'll raise the question to you.
Okay,
Sounds like a plan.
all right.
Great suggestion. Any other suggestions would be great. Any other questions of the board members or the staff?
So sorry, we came in late, so you're the new outreach.
No, outreach is Clayton.
Okay.
I am the new, special events program supervisor. So Mystic Irish 5K, Tour de Knowing, all the kind of like our staple, special events, but also adding in new stuff as well. So.
I have a
Got it.
bunch of ideas, so.
Oh, you have a bunch of ideas. Awesome. Love them. I love some good ideas. For sure. Feel free to reach out to
There
me.
we go.
Once again, thank you all for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Good.
Yeah.
You're on video.
Okay, so never did call to order, so here we are now, and minutes, approval of minutes.
Yeah, so we don't have any minutes.
That's a good thing.
Fran took minutes.
And she took them with her.
And yes, so what I will do is I'll go back and watch the video from the previous meeting, take notes,
Okay,
create minutes, and then at the June meeting, we can
sounds good. Thank
approve
you.
minutes,
We
yeah.
should just ask her if she could just finish that up as the last duty.
Well, I did send her an email and I know it's getting towards the end of the year. I'm hopeful that when she gets a little bit of time, she'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, there's only 1 month worth, right, I think?
Yes,
But-
yep.
Okay, citizens, petitions and comments. Are there any?
The only thing I got is still people are asking wood chips in our.
Yeah, so the
Weeks now.
wood chips were delivered. Well, we actually got two loads. We got a load Friday and then a load Monday. And I want to point out that we lost two of our full-time employees last week in the Parks Division. One retired, and one took another job. So we're down a third of our park staff.
How many people do you used to have to maintain parks? Whether it be.
We used to
wrench,
have,
mow
we
grass?
used to have 7.75 full-time employees and that was before I got here. And we've added employees over the last couple of years. But in the last 10 years, we've also added a whole bunch of properties that we need to maintain.
Okay.
3 different schools, disc golf course. So, you know.
So what are you at now for staffing? With all the people that left?
With the people that have.
Yeah, like what are you today? Like what's your head count?
Today, we've got 3 full-time employees and 3 seasonal employees.
You used to have 5,
And we used to have 7
7
full-time,
straight up. Like,
7 3/4 full-time employees, yeah.
And not to mention the development of the community center as it grows bigger and bigger.
Well, it's just the parks guys maintain the property around.
I'm thinking
there. They're
maintenance,
also
yeah.
doing Gloucester. We also have SB Butler now. You know, Millwood Creek Disc Golf Course. So that's a lot of additional acres.
Sure.
So do you, I know I emailed HR for you, like, you know, like a couple weeks ago asking for like the advanced thing. Did that work out well for you for being able to post before the person left? Or did they,
By only a couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
I follow up with in-person meetings?
Yeah.
I'm kind of frustrated with that. So do you have authorization, we call them recs in my work, but like, you know, so if you want to if you had staffing at 7, that would be your efficient out of your manning curve. Do you have authorization to get back up to 7 full-time people?
So in the budget that I believe the RPM maybe is gonna,
They approved it Monday, right? I
Monday
thought I
night.
read it, Monday night.
yeah, the
Did
full
we get
budget.
any money back from them? Did they restore any money to Parks and Rec?
Yes, so we had asked for safety netting to go behind the lacrosse goal,
Right,
and the council had cut that out. The full RTM added that back in. Part of the budget that we presented was to have an additional full-time employee added to the Parks Division, but I can't advertise that until July 1.
right.
And so by the time we've advertised, gone through the hiring process, it will be the
Yeah.
3rd week in August.
That would have brought you up to 8 though, correct?
Yes,
So-
so we'd be a little bit ahead
Yeah.
as far as total number of staff, but it still doesn't account for all the additional properties that we have.
Got it. So do you have open recs now for 4 to 3 full-time? You have 4 open or 1 rec with 4 quantity or something now?
We have 2 requests to fill in for the 2 maintainer positions that left last week.
Yeah.
We'll submit another request to fill for the additional person that we're adding to the staff on July 1.
Well, that only gets you to,
Oh, and
Five,
right now, we've been without a mechanic since February. Partly because we were waiting to see what happened through the budget process. Because at one time, there was concern that open positions would not be filled. But that isn't the case, so now we can move forward with a mechanic, because there's a mechanic in the golf division and a mechanic in the parks division. And right now, we've been sending some work over to the mechanic in the golf division to have him do some of the work, just to keep the machines up if something breaks down.
So the RTM only restored the safety netting? Anything
Yeah, that
else?
was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Okay.
it's kind of honestly the best bet if you watch all the budget stuff, unless you want the upper taxes to go up by
Yeah.
$400. I
Really.
think, I actually emailed the town person. I think it's quite an increase for people.
Yeah.
They're shooting
yeah,
stuff that's cut
yeah,
out, nice to have, so.
Yeah,
But that only gets you to 7 then, because if you have 3 now, you have 2 open recs, that's 5. The
Yeah.
6th person, the one that you're just hiring will go out in July, that'll get you to 6. Then the mechanic will get you to 7, then you have 1 more, like, is there another one going out? Because then you.
Well, no, the other position is, which we filled, is a manager of parks and open space. So she actually oversees
All the people that are doing the
all
work.
the people that are doing it, coordinates.
But was she here tonight or she's not hired?
She had a death in the family last
Okay.
week and is still out on bereavement.
That's Tabitha, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So there'll still be,
Yeah. So
and
that's
some there'll be
8.
7 people doing work,
Right,
whatever that may be at the
Right.
various properties,
Right.
and 1 managing.
yes,
People doing the work.
yeah, right.
Okay. Got it, thanks. So there's obviously a hardship between now and then.
Yeah, it couldn't have been a worse time to lose staff in the Parks Division, because the grass is growing. I mean, I'm mowing my lawn every 3 or 4 days. And, these guys are getting around once a week, and so. And then with all the rain we've had, you lose an entire day and then you're trying to play catch up, and if you've got a short week like next week, it's just.
Are you
We're putting out
authorized,
fires.
so in your, obviously like you're undermanned, right? Like, are you authorized to give those people overtime on Saturdays and Sundays to make up for the
Yeah,
if you had 4 heads worth, you have two people's heads worth that you budget, you're not using per se, right, until you fill them. Are
Right.
you able to, if the people want to, are you able to give them overtime?
We do offer overtime. We try to bring staff in because we have pavilion rentals on Saturday and Sunday. And the last thing you want is somebody coming in on a Sunday to rent a pavilion for a birthday party. And whoever left it on Saturday, the trash cans are full. There's just, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So we bring them in for that, but we can't force them to come in.
No, it's voluntary, but
Yeah,
I guess what I'm saying is like, if they're doing that, but if those people want to,
Right.
if there's extra grass mowing or extra
yes, yeah,
chip laying or extra
right.
painting of a building, right? Like, and if some people want the overtime, right? Like,
Right.
if they do, because you're understaffed, I would think it would be a good opportunity to have them work 10-hour days a week versus 8, or, a weekend, or if too many people want to, it would be good to offer that because you can get more done.
Yep.
Or even, how about in a case of emergency, for using the lawnmower guys at Shenny for 2 months? I mean,
Yeah.
they're
No,
really good.
No, I know.
They have big equipment too.
And we generally have staff come in on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
So that we built into the budget overtime, because the golf course, that needs to be maintained at a much higher level. So we have guys coming in on Saturday and Sunday, build that into the budget. They know that's part of the routine that they've
Right.
got to come in.
Yeah,
And I try to rotate it around.
Okay, moving along. Correspondence and communications. Have any of the counselors, commissioners had any? No. I have stopped answering questions regarding the pickleball courts as a result of your notice in the paper. So that,
Oh,
thank God, that was a
okay.
blessing.
okay.
That was a blessing, really.
Good.
It was good. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Did I say that
Yeah, I saw that.
it wasn't? So,
But now they're asking what happened with the electric, but I was like, oh, well, that might be later. I said, don't worry about it.
yeah,
Okay, I'm in the dark. Can we pause for a second?
sure.
What are you talking about?
The
So-
pickleball- there was an article in the day paper.
Didn't see it.
God, wow, stay up on these things.
Yeah,
It was.
I'll tell you about my experience in trying to get a subscription to the day, but that's like an hour and a half.
No, if you just go into Google and hit news local, it was on there.
Right.
That's where I get my local.
so there was an article
Well,
in the day paper
Yeah,
about the pickleball courts.
yeah.
And I think we laid out a timeline.
You
right?
did, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gotten pushed back a little bit because
Right.
Public Works was going to do the work in June. After they had done a project on Marsh Road in Millink, that residents and businesses asked if they could wait because they're trying to move boats out. They didn't want them poured out. So trying to be business friendly, Public Works said, okay, we'll push it off until June, which meant the work that was supposed to take place in June on the pickleball courts got pushed back a little bit. So,
Right. It said it was gonna be done by July.
yeah, I mean, that's, and again,
That's
that's
a
the
target.
weather,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
target.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
a lot of people not asking questions now, so that's a good thing.
Good.
Yeah. So no questions regarding anything.
I do, sorry, I just wanted,
That's okay.
Barry Dunn, we're waiting for a draft of their report for the recommendations for District 4. I was hoping to get them so that the commission could review them prior to the meeting, but I haven't received them, so
Okay.
it will be the June meeting. As soon as I get them, I'll send them out so folks can look it over,
Great.
and then we can have a discussion at the June meeting.
Okay.
Is
Sounds
that
good.
something that has to go to the town council?
Yes, it will probably be a recommendation from the commission to the council.
Okay.
And then there'll be a presentation to the council. And the council, this is a referral that the council had passed down to the commission a few months ago.
Okay, Mark, I think you're on right now.
Okay, do we want to move the schedule around and?
Sure. That would be-
I got time.
Be- Before he starts, I wanted to let you know that there's a northern shoveler down at the
Oh.
Thomas Road
Okay.
Conservation Area.
At Sparkle Lake?
I have never, and no,
Oh.
it stays on the estuary side. So I've never seen one ever there. So that's pretty exciting.
Right, it's a duck, type of duck.
It is a type of duck, a northern shoveler with a long,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah.
Male or female?
That particular one, it's a pair and I'm hoping that
Oh.
they,
No nesting?
that they nest are there.
Oh, cool.
But it's a white and brown duck
Oh,
that is very odd
Huh.
with a very long
oh, no
beak.
kidding.
That's why they call it the shoveler.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Huh.
Anyway,
All right, so Tom, do you want to go?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you guys-
Is that all right if we?
it is fine, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm here to talk a little bit from the Conservation Commission. In the POCD, there was definitions of open space for the town of Groton.
Can you explain what the POCD is? Not
Plan
everyone-
Plan of Conservation and Development.
Right, and what is that
It's-
document?
It's a document that's issued every 10 years by the town council, as it's drafted up by the planning department and the planning and zoning commission. And the last version was issued in June of 2016. And in that document, there's multiple chapters. There's one chapter 2, which is all about conservation, which includes all the aspects that the Conservation Commission kind of looks at. And the rest of it is pretty much all development. There's sections about transportation, housing, commercial activities, all that type of stuff. But under the Conservation Commissions, there's definitions in there that were set up to have 3 types of open space. There's dedicated open space, which is just land that is open and there's no activity on it at all. There's managed open space, which primarily is what are the various parks that you're responsible for, and as long as public works. And then there's facility open space that has special things such as the dump and the schools and that type of stuff. So one of the things that we've been trying to do is people come to us as the open space coordinators for the town and says, hey, how much open space do we have? Because they want to see where we stand. The problem we have is that the definition that's used in the POCD is not really recognized by the state of Connecticut. What the state of Connecticut does is they have they have a state green plan that outlines 2 types of open space. There's protected open space, which means you have a deed that says it's open space, or there's a conservation easement on it that says it's open space. So there's some type of formal legal thing that's registered with the town clerk that says this is an open space parcel, or there's preserved open space. And in the state definition, that's all the state parks and watershed areas that are controlled by like Groton Utilities in our case here. Okay, all their property. So when using that definition, okay, I'm kind of obligated to go take a look at the Parks and Rec regulations and rules that your committee oversees here And I go look and it's dated 2011. And there's been a lot of changes since then. And so what we've done, in concert with this, the Conservation Commission also has a responsibility under their town charter to maintain an inventory of all open space. So what we've done is that we've actually worked with the town of Groton GIS people in the basement down there. We have now we've incorporated a mapping system that's using the town GIS and identify all the different types of parcels under the POCD. But we've also, in that database here, we keep all the information. We've also classified it and how it would be under the state definitions. So that's how we've kind of migrated all this in the last couple of years to get this all online, as opposed to just having a list that we're maintaining.
So that's the Mark attached the list to the meeting invite. So basically, all the spaces in the meeting invite list, I think, which we have in front of you, that's on the map
Yeah.
now. So there's like
So
whatever
we've
five
already put
categories.
it on the map
Okay.
because it's to track it, and all we're asking you is I've done all the work for you. All we're asking, there's minimum changes is to move this forward to the town, because this has to be approved as a change to your rules and regulation and that has to be forwarded to the town council for their stamp of approval. Then you can update this. Because we're just trying to get everything in line.
So that GIS now is according to the state definition.
Well, right now, the different colors is to the current POCD, with each color being, is it city owned, is it town owned, is
Yeah,
it
okay.
state
But you
owned?
said you had a version of that.
And then but in the database here,
Oh,
I can't change it right now until the new POCD comes out in 2026. The planning for that is already started right now. That's in the budget. They already hired, they're in the process of hiring the consultant to rewrite the POCD. What we want to do is have all this stuff in place so that when the consultant comes to the Conservation Commission and says, what do you want to change in the POCD? Oh, we want to change the definitions and get it in line with what the state.
So you're asking us to approve that?
We're asking you to update your regulations, that if I go here to your regulations over here, the Parks and Rec regulations, okay, that are dated 3/1 of 2011, which has that inventory in it, okay? That's all I'm asking, is that that portion of your regulations that have the inventory.
It's an attachment to it.
Well, it's actually built in. Let me get down to the, find it right in here. Let's see, signs, introductions. I gotta find, I'm not that regular, there's all the rules.
I thought it was like on the first page.
Well, you got the cemeteries. Here's the
Oh, okay.
military inventory starts right here, okay? So it's kind of ways down this thing. And so all I'm saying is that I provided you an updated one, and that's what I'd like you to approve, is an update to this list that's already here on your website.
Well, if we're gonna approve it, we don't know what the difference is. That's the problem.
Well,
You know what I mean? It's
if
like-
you tell me what you want, we have time. This doesn't have to be done tonight,
Right.
okay?
All right.
I'm just introducing this issue to you.
Mhm.
I'm here to answer questions, and whatever you need, I can provide that for you.
So I think what you're asking for, and I think I'm gonna get to the root of what you're doing. So like in this sheet here, and I saw it, but I didn't understand really the use.
Right.
So this is the classification that you are recommending going forward.
This
Is that a
is,
good
right,
assessment?
that's, and consistent with what you guys have been tracking already in the past.
Yeah, so the classifications were derived from the National Recreation Parks Association. They have different classifications for parks. So it's
Okay.
community parks, neighborhood parks. And so that's what we have gone through and tried to identify those existing parcels as either a community park, a neighborhood park. And there's an explanation as to what defines each type of park. And we applied those definitions to the parcels.
So it looks like there's there's six definitions here. Today, on the website of we have, do we have these same six, or we have different ones
No.
in the categories?
I don't believe that
Yeah.
there's differences between this and what is Right.
Currently
Out there
exists,
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and does,
You have some of the stuff, like these are the open space items.
yeah,
You have the park.
Yeah, they're just listed as parks, but they're
Right.
not.
Yeah, they're not to the
identified.
definite, this is a refined list.
Yeah.
does doing, couple of questions, does putting them as, I'll just say special use, the first one on here, Shinnecock Golf Course. Does putting it in a certain classification mean anything? What I mean is, does it get more funds? Is it monetary? Does it put regulations on that space? Is doing it in a certain classification help or hurt us in any way?
I think it's neutral.
I think it sounds like it aligns better with what the state is doing is.
Well, I don't know that the
The
state,
state could care less. This has nothing
Right.
to do with the state. This is all internal to Groton.
right.
However, going forward, both the plan of conservation has to comply with state requirements. correct?
Right, because if you don't have a POCD in place, that's, you're gonna lose grant opportunities.
Right, and so the protected and preserved is coming from the state. The neighborhood, the mini park, that's just what the National Recreation and Parks Association
So
has
does
defined.
any of these, you talked about protected, I was gonna ask preserve, do any of these fall into the protected or preserved thing?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that a
a
sub?
lot of
What you're gonna find here is that there are certain parcels that are protected that have that legal perception already included. But there's the ones that don't, those will be cover them as preserved. So some items may be protected and preserved, but others will just be preserved.
So would it be helpful if on this list it was identified as either protected or preserved, or both?
I can get that information for you.
I
don't know, I'm just.
I guess what I'm thinking is, so it sounds like today we don't have protected or preserves in our list. It's not a.
No,
not
the
a
only
data
place that
asset.
I have it on my list.
But it's not public, we'll say.
Right, it's not public, right?
So I guess what I'm getting at is like, say that it's preserved and you post definitions, but out right over. But what I'm asking is like, say we want to go put a bench in, making something up in the future, right? Because it's protected preserved, does that prevent us from putting a bench in? Maybe a bench is not there. So that's what I want to understand. So
Right.
I want to maybe understand that before I personally vote. I would abstain if we voted tonight on this, because I want to understand what it does to us. I'm not, like, you did the diligence, you know a lot better than us which one it would be. I'm good with that. Like, like, I'm not gonna question which one you put it in, but I want to understand what it does to us by putting it in certain
Right. So if
categories.
it's protected,
From my aspect, I think that's.
you couldn't put a baseball field on it, so. you'd have to
Well,
go
it
back.
depends on what the restrictions are
Within
with,
the
you have to go
deed.
look at the deed
Deed, right.
or the easement that's
Right.
attached to it, okay? And I'll give you some examples, like on Sparkle Lake, it has Oswald, money on it. Through the state, so there's a state conservation and recreation easement on it. The standards OSWA prevents you from building any buildings on it. It prevents you from changing any, putting any new roads on other than the original roads that were there. You can expand what you have to increase the recreational capabilities, but it can't be paved and that type of stuff. There's a bunch of conservation restrictions that are right in that easement. I just give you an example of what you're kind of concerned, so.
Yeah.
And it's more typically on the protected items. If it's a preserved items, your guys are control of it. That's what your rule, that's what your job is here, is to control those rules on anything that doesn't have an outside protection, either through a deed or an easement.
So when we go public with it, the ones that have that, that secondary level, we'll say, of like scrutiny, are those ones that from your diligence you chose, or I mean, like, or is it something that's already in place, which people don't know?
I've been working with Mark over the last couple of years to get how he's tracking things, how you guys how he presented it to the consultants as you were developing your master. I kind of held back until you got the master plan approved. Okay, and this is, I'm trying to stay in line with what the efforts that you've been doing, working with developing your master plan. Okay. And what was the information that was provided. So I've been trying to stay in sync with, we've been working closely with Mark here. He's been providing.
So did you go into like the deeds?
I
Did
have personally reviewed every deed.
Like the lawyers to figure this out?
Well, no, it's all we're looking from our perspective is the deed says open space.
Right.
That's check, and I move on to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have all the restrictions and stuff, because if, all I'm interested is the inventory, to put it into the right pukas and stuff. So, I have reviewed the deeds to say that this deed states, a lot of the deeds, you end up, it'll say, you have to go see the map, and then the map will say this is a open space area. So a lot of them, there's a lot of research I've had to do to go look at these things, both from the records web and also in the town hall. There's a lot of stuff that's been manual paper.
Wouldn't the town attorney be the best person to review your work rather than us? I mean, none of us
Well,
are.
no, if you want to review it, if you want, the attorney.
But we wouldn't sign off on anything like this unless we review
All I'm doing is
this.
asking you to update your regulation.
Right.
The inventory that's on your webpage, that's all I'm asking for. It's your regulation, not
That's good.
not a town ordinance. So normally the town attorney only gets involved in ordinances, rather than your regulations. If you want the regulation to be reviewed by the town attorney, that's your call.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you're asking for the website to be updated to this type of classification, that's okay. I just want to understand if it comes with neighborhood park and, secondary level tier of data, that's what I.
Yeah, if you don't even want
That's what I'm
to,
getting at.
if you don't want to include that, that's your call. I was just trying to be consistent with the information I've received from Mark over the years.
I'm not opposed to include it, but I want to see it first, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how other commissioners think.
Well, I think that an inventory should carry both, descriptors, the
Mhm.
ones that are consistent with the state standards and also those that are useful from a national parks and rec standpoint. Because you're asked, how many of X or Y
Right.
during accreditation. The other thing I noticed is you said the last date on that Parks and Rec rules was
Right.
2011.
Yes, this one is posted up here. I'm just reading
Yeah,
right.
so
Live.
there's actually a portion of the rules and regulations that get changed almost on a yearly basis, and that's the Shenecosset. As we make changes, and we've made a number of changes to the Shenecosset rules and regulations. And that's a part of the rules and regulations. So the 2011 date is actually not completely correct, because we have made changes to
Continually
portions-
update.
We'll
not this one.
continually update,
Okay.
right, and I think if you pulled up the version there, it would reflect the most recent Shenecosset rules and regulations.
I haven't.
So out of
I just
curiosity,
look at the inventory.
this is all labeled. How do I know what's protected and what's preserved?
I can add that to the list if you want the protected and preserved.
I think that would be.
Not a problem. That's come, I came here to talk to you guys, get
Yeah.
inputs.
I think if
That's
you
my
added
thought,
that, and then, if you had to come back, or we just voted, next time or something like that, I think that might. be
At least
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
we'd have a better understanding
Yeah.
Yeah.
of what it is we're doing, and then I would not mind
On the
updating,
same page.
making it 2024 instead of 2011.
Yeah.
So that, and what else in here are you recommending?
Well,
to-
part of my problem in dealing with these is that it's a name and an acreage. You don't have the parcel ID. That's the big factor that I'm adding to in my
Right,
viewpoint.
okay.
Is tracking this is to get you down to the parcel ID to identify, because some of this names don't correspond to anything, okay?
Did you find anything that wasn't on the?
I've done my
Rex
best.
list?
If you would like me to go take this list and say what's on and where it crosses over to, I can do that also. If you want to know what the changes are.
I was thinking that, but I think that, and I'll let Jim kind of say, I think I'd be more interested, is there anything on that is not appearing on that?
Right.
Like, I don't care the map up where, how they were, or is
Right.
there anything missing from there that's on there?
Right, do they jive? Yeah.
There's probably more on that.
There's
than
more
there
on
is-
this.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so it captures all of
It
those.
captures all of this.
Okay.
Okay. But there's additional stuff.
Which is fine. Is there anything else you think valuable? And I think you called them descriptors, a good terminology here. Like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you'll add a 6 descriptor, so to speak.
Right, you want-
Is there anything
Well,
else?
I would like
Yeah.
Yeah.
preserved or.
Correct, so we'll have.
Right,
Protected.
I have that information, I just didn't include it. in
Is there anything else that you think is value added besides those 6? So 5 now, 6 in the
Good
future.
question.
Is there anything else?
I was satisfied with this.
So you think that's-
The parcel ID was all
I'm
I
good,
was
I'm
looking
just,
for.
I'm just, right, we don't,
Okay.
we don't use it every day, so I'm asking. if you-
Yeah, I already, I added, the parcel ID and the address, just to make sure you kind of know where all this stuff is.
Yeah.
Because all you had was the name and the acreage before, okay? And then I added the classification because what Mark's has been doing
Yeah.
with the accreditation folks there and the master plan.
So I think that's good. I'd almost ask that if we, get it all, we come back, we vote. I won't say like the website, I would think, Mark, is like, so it's a list now. Sounds like you have some good people that do some good tech stuff here that were in the room before. Why can't we make it a filterable drop down, a pivot table, something a little better for the website usage in the future too? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like right now it's a list. I can't filter by either one of these columns. Like in Excel you could, right? But like on the website, can we make it GUI, user interface friendly for people if they wanted?
Yeah, for instance, if D4 wanted to look up all the protected space,
Sure. You
you'd
could
be able to
filter
search
that
it that
category.
way.
So if we put in D4 or whatever, it shows up on a map, is that what we're saying?
Or it could show up on the
Something.
inventory, depending on how you build it.
Some type of
Yeah.
filterable thing, once we have
Yeah.
once we approve.
Yeah,
this.
I'm sure not Clayton, Noah could probably do that. He's the GIS.
Yeah.
He could
So-
probably.
Something.
How do we know that your this list is complete?
All I can say is,
Like, who's reviewed your work?
Planning department.
the planning department has reviewed the database
This list,
there.
They
as
know
well
that
as-
everything is on here?
They know what's on, as far as what the cut is because I have 550 parcels that are under open space consideration, okay? So we're just I'm taking an excerpt of those items that show up as what's gonna be on the list for the preservation stuff. Now, some of these are gonna be protected and preserved, but a lot of these will just be under the preserved
So
category.
planning has reviewed your
Yes.
cut to get this?
Yes.
So how did they review it? Did they like?
Well,
climb
they
off
were
it? They just
interested
said,
in what's, they spent a lot of time. This is, John Reiner and his staff, Dave Prescott and as well as Deb Jones. Because he gets asked a lot of questions of what's accessible and what's inaccessible. So if you go to the town GIS website, I don't know if you're familiar, if you looked at that recently, they just added about 2 months or 3 or 4 months ago, on the town website, under the GIS portion, I'll bring that up. There's these different layers you can bring up, and as soon as it comes up here, I'll bring up, there's a layer in here that lists accessible and inaccessible, under environmental data. Let me close this thing out here. And let's see, expand this down, and then we'll go slide this down here. Sorry, it's a little slow in under the open space, they added a thing as far as what's publicly accessible and publicly not accessible. Okay, so they asked, and so what they went and did their review from a planning department. That's what they also looked at this to make sure it's protected and preserved aspects and what's accessible, and what's inaccessible.
So who
They
did
added
the
this-
planning?
What?
Did the supervisor or the manager do it and say, I'm good? How did it
The
look?
meeting I had, that's what I'm saying, when the conservation met with the planning staff, it was Reiner, Deb Jones, his deputy, and Dave Prescott. And then Noah from the GIS folks. But their focus was they looked at this as part of taking a look at what parts of the town can I allow tell the general public they have accessibility to. That's what they're, as far as to be able to go onto that property.
Okay, so
So your parks are all part of that.
So
Okay.
all the things on the list, I would assume were accessible.
Yeah. I mean,
So they
there's people that are
specifically,
not-
they specifically reviewed and told you your list for parks and
Well,
rec is good?
They have this information and they agree that that it's lining up with what you guys have in your current regulations and that it's reasonable for the changes in here, for the additions that I made.
Okay. And then Mark, did you review it? Because we're not in a position as Park and Rec Commission to know the details if there was something missed on this list. Are you okay with the list
I've
that
been,
is complete?
I've been working with the planning department. Kind of referring back to the planning, because they've taken the time to look over all of these parcels. And if the planning department has said, yes, that we're comfortable with this list. Now, I do think there are two parcels. So I talked to Dave, there's
Mhm.
two parcels that they're still not quite in agreement or not sure about, and he described them to me, and I'm sure you know which ones they are. One was right next to 95. And I guess there was a larger parcel that got cut in half. And Dave mentioned two parcels that Dave Prescott, who's in the planning department.
Is this for the accessibility or for?
On the list,
Oh.
yeah.
I mean,
But I've looked through and, I know all of the open space parcels that fall under, because there's open space parcels that we're currently not maintaining at all. There are others that we do varying levels of maintenance on. And, the parks.
And both of those are on this list?
Yes, both types.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we can sign off on things that were brought to our attention. And we could also note that, this was these are the parcels of land that have been brought to our attention.
Right, that
Yeah.
we're depending on your work
Right,
and planning and Mark's review
Right,
of the list, that first of all, it's complete.
Yeah.
And then the second aspect of our review is the classification,
right.
right?
That makes sense. We
But,
can put
but
that
first
in
is,
the meeting minutes.
you're comfortable that this is a complete list except for those two
Yeah.
parcels you
Yeah,
were
there's
just
two
talking about?
parcels that Dave has said the planning department is still debating on
Okay,
exactly
So-
how
so-
they should be classified.
I'm sorry I have to ask this, but there's three types of open space: managed, facilities, and what's the other one?
dedicated
Dedicated.
And I think what Tom is saying.
in the current
in
POC.
the- Right, and for the new POCD, in order to align with the state definitions, parcels need to be either protected.
Or preserved,
Preserved.
correct,
Right.
yeah.
And
And I was
then-
just curious.
And then the definition of preserved is what's in the Parks and Rec regulation.
Yep.
That's we're trying to get
Okay.
some things, you know,
Yeah,
if you don't want to make it preserved, that's fine with me. I
No,
can
no,
care
no,
less.
no, no.
You know,
But
I
do it the
understand.
back end.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we just want to work for a complete list.
No problem. I did my best trying to give you a draft here and do
That's
all
good.
the.
I mean,
And that we
Yeah, I
appreciate.
appreciate it,
Yeah, for discussion.
right. But somebody ultimately reviewed your work, and it sounds like.
Well, yeah, it's been a team effort between the
Yeah.
GIS people, the planning staff, and one of their result of it was that they got this new layer, as part of their review, was come up with this accessible, non-accessible. So they looked at all these parcels too, as far as I'm
I
trying.
keep looking at you, Mark, and you look concerned.
no, I'm not.
You're not
Yeah.
concerned about this list at all, so
No.
those two parcels,
Okay.
okay.
So is there a map that you or the planning department have done that indicates what's preserved and or?
Not yet. I have, under the, when I go back here to the, let's see which ones, okay, under this is the Conservation Commission viewer. Under this, there's a data that when I click on, like I'm on on this parcel right here that we're sitting on.
So
right
you
now.
have access to that,
Right,
public does not.
the general public does not.
Okay.
I'm at liberty to provide you the website,
Mhm.
to go look at it, because you have an interest in it.
Yeah.
So I freely give this this address out, so you can go use it and look at it.
Okay.
It's not confidential or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's just not generally open, to the general public, because but in this, all the data that's in here, you'll find that it'll say whether protection, like this one has there's no deed on this one. So this parcel right here is not protected. It's
Right.
going to be preserved. It's going to show up in the preserved section. Okay. So we haven't, until we change the POCD, as far as how we're filtering things, I have to filter right now by the current POCD. So that's how come all these different categorizations. This is town-owned, city-owned, state-owned, privately owned. Is it in each of those three categories for each of the ownerships? So that's how I end up with with a dozen categories, or 15 different categories. So 2 of them I don't have. I only have 13 current categories. And then we also put all the PA 490, Public Act 490 land, which has the tax assessment lower because it's farmland or forest land. We also keep track of that too on here as the 14th category.
So do we need to make a motion to just?
No, it sounds like I
Do
need to come
anything?
back to you next
I
month.
wouldn't do anything right now.
Yeah, I have an action item, based on your comments here,
Okay.
to come back to you next month.
Okay. Yeah.
With an updated list. I'll provide this to him in
That'd be
advance, so
great.
you have it.
Yeah, perfect.
And I'll
We can
add
look at
the
it for the
protected
meeting.
and preserved column in here.
That would be terrific, thank you.
Not a problem at all.
Nope.
Would it help to have the access to the website?
I'll provide
want
I
that.
wouldn't know the difference.
I'm okay with the list personally.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't.
All
Me
right.
too, to tell you the truth.
Okay, yeah.
You guys worked on it and, you
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
you're
good
comfortable
thing.
with it,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's an attribute that
No.
public needs to
No,
see. It's something that if something came up, we'd want to understand how it could.
Right.
affect.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, so,
yeah.
Know that you have access and can find it.
Not a problem. Okay, so that's
Thank you.
all I had for you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
we'll get back to you, next month.
Thank you very
Sounds
much.
good, thanks.
No problem. Appreciate it. Here.
So does everybody need a copy of that?
Everybody should have a copy. I think I.
I
You
I
said that.
might have
Yeah.
another copy here for you.
Yeah.
Have a nice
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Tom. Okay,
is he a volunteer?
no, he's a volunteer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
I
on the,
didn't know
he's
that.
on
He
the,
doesn't work for the town.
No, no, he's
Yeah,
on-
I'm pushing too,
Oh,
he's
my
done a
God.
lot of work.
I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
so.
yeah, he's
It's a big
retired.
database.
He's retired and,
I thought it was a town employee too. Just-
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think, yeah,
No,
I
no,
mentioned it
he,
last time, yeah.
Wow.
I think he retired from the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well,
he's
that's a
on,
lot of work.
yeah, he's put in,
I
Right, 'cause
wonder,
seems like
I
you
wonder
have to do a lot
who
of
built
data
this little
sources.
database, you know, I was wondering if somebody in town built that for him?
no, I think he did it
Yeah,
himself.
himself.
Yeah,
What are you doing, like Microsoft Access or something?
I'm not sure. I don't have any idea of how many hours he spent
Wow.
going through.
Yeah,
that.
I-
it sounds like he's still doing a lot of good data.
yeah, I know that, I'm just like,
Okay, you're on, Mark.
All right, so, director's report,
Mhm.
I've already mentioned the things,
Yep.
The staff hiring Melissa,
Mhm.
being down a couple of staff, mentioned Barry Dunn, and we talked about pickleball, so I think that kind of, unless there's questions about the report that I submitted, I guess we can move on to the golf course. Just to give everybody an update on the bathroom at par 4, when they were taking out a wall, they found a couple of pipes that
Yeah.
were wrapped in asbestos, so that's shut down the project. We're waiting for a contractor who does asbestos mitigation to come in, clean that up, and then work will begin again, and it's been probably three or more weeks since work has stopped on the bathroom.
So they're gonna redo all the bathrooms too, right? The access and the bathrooms. correct?
Yes, access and the bathrooms, but all the work has stopped at this point until the asbestos is
Right.
mitigated.
I understand.
Work was, we got money this fiscal year to do work on the golf course. Because of all the rain that we've had, the contractor was working on another project. It keeps getting pushed back. And I talked to Eric today, and Eric is thinking that we're probably going to have to push the work plan for Shinnecock off until the fall, because we're only 5 weeks away from the senior open, and he doesn't want the golf course all torn up.
It's tough to do in the summer anyway.
It is, so it's better.
You said he got money, you mean this is the money he was allowing from the budget, right? From his normal operating.
For
budget.
FYE 20, no, this was for FYE 24, the budget.
Yeah, this is a
now.
leftover money.
Yes, yeah, and so what we're gonna do is,
Yeah.
in the FYE 25 budget, there was $200,000 appropriated, so we're actually just gonna have them come in once in the fall and do the work that was planned for this fiscal year and do the work that was planned for next fiscal year.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much that is in total? That's what, 300,000? Yeah.
339,000, I think
Yeah.
it was 129 and 200, so
Yeah.
339 total. There was no, the Trails Coordinating Task Force meets quarterly, and we don't have a meeting until next month. Athletic fields. Kenton Frost has presented first draft conceptual plans of athletic fields at Clodchester High School and Sutton Park. On June 20th, which is the next athletic field task force meeting, they're going to be presenting the second draft based on the feedback that they got the first round. They're going to be presenting updated plans, and they're also going to be discussing the field surface type recommendations. So this is whether they're recommending natural turf or synthetic turf. They'll be making that presentation to the athletic fields task force. And then after that, they will go to the council with recommendations, because the council will have a say on the types of fields, the types of field surface. And then once they have that information, then they can go forward and kind of finalize the plans, because if it's synthetic or whether it's natural is going to make a difference in how the plans are further developed. So
Mark, on the new fields that
Yep.
were developed, near the high school and the middle school,
yeah,
is one of them,
Yes,
synthetic?
one of
or
them is
both?
synthetic. No, one.
One and one, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, this is.
The one closest to the
multi-purpose-
road,
The one closest to the road is
the
natural.
Long Hill.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's
natural, yeah,
natural.
that's the
Okay.
softball field.
Softball
Okay.
field, right. The one that's out back is
The
synthetic,
soccer.
yes.
Okay,
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
thank you.
Right.
I was just curious about.
Lacrosse, soccer.
Yeah.
I don't know if they painted it for field hockey.
Oh,
I'm not
Haven't
sure.
been down that far.
Yeah, yeah. And that's now, the lights are now working. I don't know if
I
anyone's
did see those.
driven by, and it's amazing. I mean, the light lines stop at like the edge of the field.
Is
So
that
there's
right?
no, they've got
No glare
glare.
for the neighbors, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, those fields are used by who? Are those rec fields or are they for the schools?
Yeah, rec doesn't get on
Yeah,
those.
those are
fields.
just for the schools,
Just for the
right?
schools.
Oh, I would have thought rec got on them as well, no?
Not our department, no.
No.
I think there are some, like there's a men's soccer group that I think plays there on Sundays.
Oh,
But there's none of the rec programs. I don't think any of the youth soccer programs are there. Most of them are taking place at Pequannock Plains or practices over at Clodchester, and I'm not aware of any games that are.
It should be
taking place.
interesting to see which kids use those lit fields.
and injuries.
Company,
That's what I would be
oh,
interested in.
Yeah, well, that's one of the
Is the
things.
number of injuries
Yeah,
on one and versus the
Oh, yeah,
other.
on that.
Right.
synthetic
Yeah,
yeah,
surface,
and I'm not
yeah.
sure. I don't think within Groton that information's being captured.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think in other places across the country, there's been a number of studies.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
big,
yeah, there's a huge debate and,
Yeah.
so they will be presenting their recommendations at the June 20th Athletic Field Task Force meeting.
So they're doing, so this is, can you give us like this is round one and then from there they'll make round two, like how many rounds they're doing iterations, because they're
Right.
checking,
There'll
like, what is
probably
their,
be, like,
what is the
three.
deliverable say?
Yeah, I think there'll probably be 3.
And on the third one, what would that give us, the town, whatever?
That would give the town budget. Okay, you said that you want synthetic turf fields, and
Yeah.
I'm just making this up.
Yeah, whatever it comes out to be.
Yeah, whatever it comes out to be, that, the cost to put in synthetic field turf at Clodchester would, and with all the amenities, putting in a bathroom, storage facility, some bleachers,
Yeah.
whatever, will cost X. Right now, there's 2 fields at Sutton Park.
Yeah.
One's softball, one's baseball. The plan is to reorient them. And, if all of that work is gonna cost Y. Up at the high school, they're widening the track right now at 6 lanes. They want to make it 8 lanes. The field inside the track would be larger so that you can play, soccer in there, because right now you can't play soccer in there. You want to put a secondary field here, a softball field here, that would cost, a different figure. So then we would have all of that
Got it. So
information.
you're gonna have 3 zones.
Yes.
And they're gonna have what would be done in each zone.
Right.
And then
And
like,
associated
that would be
costs.
the grass, turf, whatever.
Yeah.
But all these things, she'll have 3 separate costs
Yes.
that the town will have
Yes.
to decide what to do with.
Right, and there could be a decision, we're gonna do 1 and 2, or we're gonna do 1 and 3, or we're gonna do 2 and 3, or,
Okay,
we're gonna do all 3, and it's gonna cost X. And then I think we would go, I can't see us funding this through a CIP,
Okay.
because it would take 20 years to build these fields out. So it could be a referendum like, okay, we want to hear from the public if you want to spend X number of millions of dollars to do these fields.
yeah, so when we get to, obviously that'll be a discussion at that point down the road, but,
Yeah.
so you have 3 different areas. Are there only fields targeted for the areas? But I guess what I'm getting at is like, the recommendation after round 3 will say will be the fields, and then the type of material in the fields, right? Got it.
Right.
And then there'll be a cost for each one of those, right? But
Right.
like I know when we were talking specifically Colchester, they were talking about so take the pool out because I know that's not a thing, but like we talk about like a water feature, like I call it the whale's tail or something,
Yeah.
something like that, similar there. Is that in the plans that they're gonna give us, like a playground, a water feature and fields, or is it purely just fields?
It's purely fields.
So, but when the town gets to go vote on, like, say, the Colchester, isn't there other things that were supposed to go in there? Like, wasn't there talking of like putting a stage or something?
Yes, and there is in the plans for Clodchester.
Clodchester, I thought there
is-
was a water thing
There,
there.
well, initially there was.
Okay.
But I think that's been kind of scaled
Not too
out.
bad.
Because we were hoping that there would be an aquatics facility. There's a portion of the space that's kind of undedicated. And, back a year ago when we were first putting these plans together, we were hopeful that we could move forward with an aquatics feasibility study, but that was cut from the budget. It's the 2nd year in a row it's been cut. We may ask one more time, and then it's like, okay, clearly there isn't the political will, even though the community has said they want one. It just, it's not gonna move forward, so.
So is there, so that you're saying that's probably out. Is there, Sutton, I know that they're doing the skate park stuff now, a lot
Right.
of stuff going on
Yeah.
there. But then there was discussions of like putting in, I'll call it a jungle type, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's right, but a jungle type like playground.
Right.
Is that a separate discussion going on? Is that part of this? How is
That-
that playing around?
That's not part of the athletic field study,
Okay,
and money and making changes to the playground is not part of what is planned at Sutton Park right now.
Okay.
There wasn't enough money appropriated to make those,
so what I guess
make those improvements.
okay, so what I'm getting at, if that playground went away from there, is hypothetically, is there room to put a field in there, or is that just too small a space?
It's too small.
Okay.
Yeah, just in that space.
But I was getting at, because I was up in Chester, Connecticut last weekend, and they had like they had a school, but they had fields and they had playgrounds integrated, so like there was playgrounds in the center almost. And
Right.
It was like,
Yeah.
there was like 4 different playgrounds, so all different ages, like different big rope climbing structure. It was nice.
Yeah,
There was a lot of sporting events going on, and there was parents all around the fields.
Right.
And there was a parking lot in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there was things, so like, I'm sure there was people that were, one parent was watching and then a
Yeah,
parent
so
was
the
in there with the
siblings
kid.
are-
It was like
yeah.
and the reason I'm asking is because if the playground's in Sutton, but all the other fields are going on over here in like the Quonic Plains, Chester, you know.
Well,
Like, I'm thinking like logistically from a center area, like, you know, like that was nice having it directly in the center because then it branched out to everything, almost like the amphitheater. So like, that's what I'm asking, what are the plans consist of? Because if the town is gonna vote on something, right, they're gonna wanna see the bigger picture. They wanna see the architecture plans for all the acreage. And
Yeah.
that should include, so take the pool out because we know that's the bone of contention, but it should include like a water feature, playground, whatever else to make that thing like the most, if people are gonna vote for taxing, they're going to see
Right.
everything. You know, it's,
Yeah, I mean, there is the Terracentennial Playground, which is adjacent to Rochester, but to your point, it would mean walking away from a field, going over a hill, you know, and taking your kid there. It's not like.
that's what I'm trying to get. It's like, I understand, like, you know, we all wanna make the best budget decisions, but if we're gonna be really looking at the site, I think things like that really need to be considered, because it needs to be like, if the town's gonna be asked to vote, you know, myself as a taxpayer on spending money, which may be the right thing to do, may not, I don't know. But like, you know, I would wanna understand all that, right? Because I'm gonna try to save 10 grand when I'm spending 2 million, that's the wrong thing to do,
Right,
is all I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah.
Now.
Mhm.
Okey doke. Are all your reports done?
Yes,
Sounds good.
I'm done.
All right, and Jim, have you accepted being the secretary or was Mark just kidding around? I gathered he was kidding. I gathered he was kidding around.
Yes,
he
Okay.
was.
All right.
That's the way I took it.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. So I
Yeah.
guess we're looking for the appointment of a recording secretary.
Well, I'm hoping that somebody would agree to do it.
Okay.
Let me think about
Okay.
it. I didn't take any notes today.
I noticed that, yeah,
I took the notes on the individual person, so that was
yeah,
important.
okay.
It was all comes down
Yeah,
to
I mean,
people.
I'm
I
taking
have a
some notes.
proposal.
Okay,
I'm willing to be the recording secretary for 12 months. No more.
okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's
Okay,
it.
I'll take it after that. I
It's
will.
been recorded, Jim.
There you
It's
go.
part of history. You will-
I'll back
In
up.
12 months.
In the spring of 2025, you're done, I'm taking over.
All right,
May.
we got a deal. Yes.
That sounds good.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
I may need some help with notes from
Yeah.
this meeting, but.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was
Okay.
purposely not looking at you.
I know, the seating was not accidental.
I find it better to be on Zoom when you're taking notes. So I'm just sitting back,
Yeah,
listening to you guys.
Yeah,
right,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
That was
yeah,
good.
it's,
Fran took some detailed note.
Yeah, she
It was
was-
very
Yeah.
detailed, good, but not
Yeah.
what I would have.
But the one that I took the notes, there
No,
wasn't
and
a
those
lot
are-
that went on that day,
Right.
but I had them all listed down.
yeah, no, you did, you.
But I didn't have it formatted.
No, I
in a
know,
way.
and what I
figured
was
you
doing with Fran is I would actually take the format and create a blank document so that, and I think she was typing in.
Oh, as people were speaking.
Yeah,
Oh, is
so
that,
then,
oh.
so, which was very helpful to me,
Yeah, yeah.
because then I don't get like a Word document and I've got to cut and paste
Right.
into the formatted template, you know, it was already done.
I can do that in 2025. I'm pretty good on
And
it.
I
I
don't
can
know,
forward you a copy of the template, I have it.
That makes
Oh,
it easy.
yeah, I
Then
can-
you just type as you go.
yeah,
instead of trying to
yeah.
type.
Oh, so you,
Oh, perfect.
so it's online, so that when
Okay,
people are just
before.
typing, is that what you're saying?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
Fran
instead of me
was
Oh, that's-
yeah,
typing
right,
it
that's
right
great.
away.
Get a file or online, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would send her the agenda
Yeah.
template for that meeting. You know, if there was something that was gonna be voted on, I had the box,
Yeah.
I would add the box in. And it was all set for her and all she needed
Yeah.
to do was
Yeah.
type.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I'm not that fast of a typer, so, I'd be like, what do you say? And, yeah.
Okay, so our next meeting is
Oh,
June. What happened?
26th,
June 26th,
yes.
okay? Are there any, motions for adjournment?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second that.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So moved.
All right.
What time is the meeting?
So this will be a 7 o'clock
7
meeting
o'clock.
and it will be virtual
Okay.
In June.
in
Okay.
June, yes, yeah. And moving forward, well, I think Mike had recommended a while back that we occasionally have meetings kind of where the department is operating. So we've had one in Thrive. And I think this is the second year in a row that we've done this. And we had one here. And then it was suggested that we do it earlier, which I think was a terrific suggestion, to give an opportunity to meet all of the new staff.
I thought that was great to
Yeah.
put a
Yeah.
face to a
Yeah.
name. That was
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, and
It's a good
our
idea.
financial assistant Ruth, who takes care of all the invoices and billing and all of that stuff, she's actually on vacation this week. So couldn't beat her. And then Tabitha would have been here, but she had,
Things come up.
yeah. Yeah. So perhaps at another meeting, she can just jump in by Zoom and.
That'd be great.
And Tabitha actually worked for the planning department in Groton. She'd been there 3 years and then I stole her away, come down to Parks, and she's been wonderful in reviewing and developing plans for different projects that are taking place.
Great.
Oh, all right,
All righty.
I think we're adjourned.
How are they
We
doing
are-
at the senior center with